Emerson, the jury has reached its verdict and Dzhokhar Tsarnaev was found guilty in the Boston Marathon bombing trial. Lauren Fox has the full story.
And the Celtics playoff push is in full force, and a crucial game went down in Detroit at the Palace last night. We'll tell you who balled and who didn't fall, coming up with Sean Stackhouse.
All that and so much more today, Tuesday, April 7th. I'm Maggie Morlath.
And I'm Logan Reaver. We have a great show coming up for you this morning.
That's right. We'll be getting smart. Dan Kendi is here, our tech correspondent. He will be first showing us the Apple Watch, which is Apple's smartwatch. And then we'll also be seeing several other smartwatches. There's one from Samsung, one from a brand called Pebble, one from Motorola as well. I haven't heard much about them in a while.
Apparently they came back and they made a watch. That's going to be really interesting because smartwatches are so much of it's a cool concept, but like, are we ever going to perfect it? So we'll see if they've sort of made strides. And also the Apple Watch, so like what? That was big news yesterday as well too. And also we have a weather feature with Michael Kyanis coming up soon. It is going to be a perfect day outside. I don't believe so, but we're going to find out all the latest on that.
It's a little rainy, so we'll be taking a look outside. But also Michael will be speaking to us about climate change, an issue that seems to be becoming even more ever present.
Yeah, definitely.
But first, Bostonians are starting to feel finally some closure from the bombing at the Boston Marathon back in April 2013. Dzhokhar Tsarnaev has been found guilty. Lauren Fox is joining us now to deliver more details. Lauren, what does this mean for the city of Boston?
Maggie, I think closure is the perfect word to describe the situation. Victims such as Jeff Bauman, who lost 2 of his legs, Rebecca Gregory, they've been saying, justice, it can never really be served, but we can feel some closure on this matter. And I think that this verdict is really going to amp up the healing process for Boston.
Yeah, in terms of sort of, the marathons coming up and also with this trial just being conveniently with that time, what do you think it means in terms of the people that ran it not just 2 years ago, but coming up and having this sort of just patriotic feel now that this trial is over?
Yeah, I think that now the marathon means more than ever for Boston pride, for just the pride as the community. I mean, we went through such an emotional time period, and we'll never truly heal from this traumatic event. But I think finally, with this verdict, we'll start to breathe a little easier.
Thanks, Lauren.
Yeah.
Thank you. And now with more on the trial, Dzhokhar Tsarnaev has been found guilty on all 30 counts in the Boston Marathon bombing trial Tuesday. 17 of these charges carry the possibility of the death penalty. These charges include conspiracy and deadly use of a weapon of mass destruction. 21-year-old Tsarnaev was reported to show no reaction to the verdict, standing with his head down and clasping his hands. The guilty verdict came after 11 hours of deliberation. The jury was witness to 16 days of gut-wrenching testimonies and graphic evidence. In court, victims' families were reported shaking their heads in approval of the verdicts. The jury will move into a penalty phase as early as next week, where the jury will have to decide whether Tsarnaev will receive the death penalty or life in prison. And the police officer in South Carolina accused of shooting an unarmed man Saturday was charged with murder Tuesday night. A disturbing witness video shows Officer Michael Slager shoot Walter Scott while his back is turned, running away from the officer. Slager says he used a stun gun in self-defense. The video shows him shooting 8 times in a row before Scott falls to the ground. Scott family attorney Chris Stewart says that 2 of the 8 shots were fatal. Slager pulled Scott over at a traffic stop on Saturday, and according to police reports, Slager called in that Scott had taken his taser. This incident comes in the midst of national controversy surrounding police brutality and race. Another incident in which a white police officer is accused of wrongfully killing a black civilian. If Slager is convicted of murder, he could face the death penalty or 30 years to life in prison. And U.S. officials announced Tuesday that Russia hacked an unclassified White House computer system last year. The cyber attack did not breach any classified information, but it did give hackers access to the president's private schedule. The 2014 hack came months after President Obama imposed sanctions on Russia to limit military action in Ukraine. These sanctions were what led to Russia's annexation of Crimea. Last week, President Obama authorized the first federal sanctions program to prevent hackers overseas from endangering national security. FBI Assistant Executive Director Sean Henry says he has no doubt that both Russia and China are currently tapped into U.S. networks. And 7 are dead after a private plane coming back from the NCAA championship crashed in central Illinois on Tuesday. The 7 dead were the only people on board. 2 of the victims include ISU's associate basketball coach Tori Ward and Deputy Athletics Director Aaron Leach. The airplane crashed into a soybean field approximately 2 miles away from its destination, the Central Illinois Airport in Bloomington. Illinois State President Larry Dietz said in a statement, "Words cannot express the grief that is felt in such a tragedy." Only 2 candidates have officially announced their 2016 presidential bid, and they are already on a harsh offensive. Here's some of the most cringe-worthy political attacks we've seen from them so far. Republican Senator Rand Paul announced his presidential candidacy just this Tuesday, and already he is attacking Hillary Clinton for, quote, evading the law. The senator called out the former Secretary of State for her recent scandal surrounding the use of private emails to handle government affairs. Clinton has also been the center of controversy for receiving donations from countries such as Saudi Arabia, Oman, and Qatar for the Clinton family's foundation. Paul commented on the, quote, shenanigans going on in the foundation, accusing Clinton of approving self-helping money allocations when she was in office. Paul's not just out for Clinton, he also referred to Republican Jeb Bush as yesterday's news. Both Clinton and Bush have yet to officially announce their candidacy, and Paul is not wasting any time with his political jabs. Senator Ted Cruz, who announced his campaign last month, is also full of Spitfire attacks. He has made it clear he is not a fan of Obamacare. In February, he compared the Affordable Care Act to a train wreck, then followed up with, and that's actually not fair to train wrecks. He also referred to Democrat frontrunner Hillary Clinton as embodying the corruption of Washington. With the elections over a year away, let's hope Rand Paul and Ted Cruz don't burn out their political fire. It certainly will be interesting when these two start to really hone in on each other. That's all the news I have for you today. Back to Logan and Maggie at the desk.
Yeah, those two are definitely going to be interesting. Well, we've replaced the absurd amounts of snow with a disgusting amount of rain. Michael Kayanis, it's supposed to be spring. What's going on?
Yeah, it's actually very cold too today compared to what we've been used to. I thought the temperature was going back up.
I know.
We need you to be better at predicting, Michael.
I am good at predicting. I can only predict it. I don't make the weather. So hopefully I have some good news now. So let's take a look. Right now it's colder than we've been used to as of recently, like I said, at 33 degrees, though I'm sure we're all used to temperatures like this after the winter we just had. With wind speeds at 16 miles per hour and a 40% chance of rain, today is not looking too great for Boston. Tonight, it's going to warm up to about 37 degrees, and our chance of rain is going to shoot up to 90 degrees, so get your umbrellas ready for that. Tomorrow, unfortunately, the rain is going to continue. Mostly in the morning, we've got about a 70% chance of rain. That's going to bring us some moderate showers throughout the day, and hopefully that will all be cleared up by the evening. On the bright side, we've got a 64-degree temperature, so that's going to be pretty dandy. Moving on to our 5-day forecast, we got some rain these next few days, but by the beginning of the weekend, hopefully we will be seeing sunny skies. The temperature is finally going to be consistently breaking the 60-degree mark, which is a sure sign that spring is finally here. So don't get too down about these April showers because the May flowers will be worth the wait. What you should get down about, however, is climate change. Let's have a look. Most Americans are worried, at least somewhat, about climate change, but few think it's one of the nation's priorities, and few believe that it will affect them personally, according to 2 new bodies of research. Interestingly, 63% of people think global warming is real, but just 48% believe that it is mostly human-caused. 52% of Americans are worried about climate change, and a similar percentage say it will affect people in the United States, but just 34% say that it will touch their lives specifically. According to data, scientists and educators are the ones who need to do the explaining. they were considered the most trusted, reliable source of information to poll respondents. President Obama, on the other hand, earned that vote of confidence from just 11% of respondents after environmental groups, mainstream media, Neil deGrasse Tyson, the only other individual offered, and even Fox News. Obama did beat out, however, the combo of Sean Hannity and Rush Limbaugh. While people are definitely more fired up about, should get more fired up about climate change, be careful not to get too heated because that would be counterproductive. That's all I have for you today, whether you like it or not. I'm Michael Kyanis. Back to you, Maggie and Logan.
Well, thanks, Michael. I know that some of the candidates haven't really spoken out yet about climate change for the 2016 election, so it seems like that might be something that needs to be discussed.
Also, those percentages, what is going on with America?
I know.
Right. But definitely keep it locked here because let's be honest, we're the best looking people you'll see all day. Oh, and also Sean Stackhouse has your hoop fix.
Welcome back to the show and your favorite hosts.
Coach K and Duke took home the hardware on Monday night after beating Wisconsin in the national championship game. Obviously, you're not going to be happy after losing, but Bo Ryan was upset for some other reasons too, wasn't he, Sean?
Bo Ryan was really frustrated after that last game, and it's fair that a lot of coaches become frustrated when they lose, but he kind of took it a bit too far, complaining about the referees. There was a really close call.
What about the sportsmanship?
Sportsmanship was just really lousy, and that's not. If this is college basketball, you have to be respectful. Bo Ryan, he's a great coach. He's been doing it for a long time, but you got to hold yourself better than that. But it's safe to say that Bo Ryan is a little bit upset after the Wisconsin Badgers lost to Duke in the national championship game earlier this week. Along with criticizing the officiating, Ryan said that Wisconsin doesn't do, quote, rent a player. Ryan's comment is a shot at Coach K of Duke, who frequently brings in elite freshmen for a season before they head to the NBA. This year from Duke, the Harrison twins have already committed, and there's a chance that Jahlil Okafor and Justice Winslow will declare later. In rebuttal to Ryan's comments, Coach K said that if you don't do one and done in your program, that's your right. But understand that everybody does it differently. It's a shame that such a great game is now being overshadowed by Coach's comments. And sticking with college basketball, the UConn Huskies captured the women's national championship on Tuesday after beating Notre Dame 63-53. UConn has now won 3 straight championships and are 10-0 in national championship games with Gino Auriemma at the helm. Kalina Mosqueda-Lewis and Mariah Jefferson each scored 15 points, but Final Four Player of the Year went to Breanna Stewart for a third time. She picked up 15 boards and 8 points. Auriemma is now tied with former UCLA coach John Wooden for the most national championships won with 10. And sorry, Bruins fans, but this year the President's Cup belongs to the New York Rangers. The Rangers clinched the Cup with 2 games left on their schedule. New York currently holds a record of 52-21-7. If the playoffs started today, the Rangers would play the 8th seed Ottawa Senators. However, the Bruins are the 7th seed. So Bruins, play well in your last 3 games. I think I speak on behalf of all Boston fans when I say I don't want to see Brassard, Zuccarello, and Nash in the first round. And the tough offseason for the Patriots just keeps getting tougher. Yesterday, it was announced that running back LeGarrette Blount will be suspended for the Pats season opener for a violation of the league's substance abuse policy. When Blount was playing in Pittsburgh, he and running back Le'Veon Bell were arrested for having 3/4 ounce of marijuana in their car. Charges were dropped when Blount agreed to do 50 hours of community service. However, he will still have to serve his suspension. And now for an update on the Boston Celtics. Going into last night, the Boston Celtics were barely holding on to the 8th playoff spot in the East. So if they wanted to keep their playoff hopes alive, last night was a must-win for the green and white. We now go to Detroit, where the Celtics took on the Pistons for a chance to make it to the playoffs. Now Isaiah Thomas steps back at the end of the first half, bangs the 3. Isaiah Thomas not done there. Down to the second half, Brandon Jennings alley-oop to Andre Drummond, slams it down. Pistons trying to get it, but Isaiah Thomas says not a chance. Hits the 3 and then right back, seals the game. Isaiah Thomas shakes it up with some of his former teammates from Detroit. The final score to that game was 113-103, and after last night's victory, the Celtics moved up to the 7th playoff spot in the Eastern Conference. So with only 4 games remaining, things are looking up for the C's and their playoff chances. That's it for sports. Now back to Logan and Maggie.
Thanks, Sean. Now, I haven't haven't worn a watch in years because I've always got my phone on me. But now so many tech companies are working to get our phones right on our wrists. Well, here's Dan Kenny to school us on smartwatches.
Hey everybody, I'm Daniel Kendi, and welcome to another installment of the Tech segment. Today we're going to talk about the Apple Watch. What exactly is the Apple Watch, and is it worth it to get one? What other smartwatches are there? And does Apple own my soul yet? Well, to answer these questions, let's take a look at the history of smartwatches. To start, what is a smartwatch? Smartwatches are watches that have the ability to communicate with your cell phone or computer and compile your notifications and apps. Some of these smartwatches even allow you to create and answer both calls and text messages. We can trace early smartwatches back to the 1980s when companies like Pulsar, Seiko, and Casio created digital watches with calculators and simple built-in games. Around 1984, the first watch that could communicate with a computer was introduced. Then in 1999, Samsung created the world's first watch phone. This watch had a large antenna, microphone, and speaker that allowed it to function as a phone, cashing in on film and TV gadgets such as those appearing in Star Trek and James Bond. The big smartwatch boom, though, was in 2013. This was when these companies started to put these technologies together to create the modern smartwatch. The Samsung Galaxy Gear, Sony Smartwatch 2, and Pebble all came out this year. Soon companies like Motorola and LG joined the phenomena. With all of these different smartwatches, what makes the Apple Watch so special? Well, first of all, most of the smartwatches released up until now have been either Android exclusives, such as the Samsung Galaxy watches and the Android Wear watches, or a limiting multi-platform like the Pebble. The Apple Watch is the first watch to work exclusively with Apple devices like the iPhone. Like most smartwatches, the Apple Watch allows you to get notifications sent straight to your watch. You can feel a tap on your wrist when you get a text message or a phone call, and then you can reply straight from the watch. While some Android devices have already had this feature, this is the first time it's coming to an iOS platform. The Apple Watch also lets you send taps, drawings, and even your heartbeat to another Apple Watch user. Phone calls can easily be made using the watch's built-in speaker and microphone, as long as you don't mind everyone hearing the speakerphone-esque conversation emanating from your wrist. The Apple Watch was designed to be the perfect companion for your iPhone. They work seamlessly together to create a new user experience. But the question is, where do I get an Apple Watch, and how much do they cost? Well, they're going to launch with 3 different models. The sports model starting around $349, a regular model starting at about $549, and a gold Apple Watch edition starting at $10,000. All 3 models have varying accessory, band, size, and color options. The 3 models will be available on April 24th, with pre-orders available tomorrow, April 10th. Pre-orders are offered in-store or online. Apple has recently announced that you won't be able to just walk into an Apple store and buy the watch, effectively ostracizing the impulse buying market. Besides, give yourself some time before you buy one of these. They are very expensive. Now, we've talked a lot about the Apple Watch. What other smartwatches are available right now? Well, we're going to head into the studio in a little bit, where I've got a bunch of different smartwatches for you guys to check out.
Like Dan said, we have more with him coming up. After we hit a quick commercial break, we're going to get to see some of the dope watches courtesy of our tech man. Thank you for sticking around. Our ratings, thank you.
So we've got some strange news coming out of the White House. Malia Obama is learning how to drive, but not with the help of her mom or dad. Amelia, what's the dealio? How did you learn how to drive?
Well, I mean, my mom taught me. I'll
Yeah.
give her the credit for that one. I did get in a few crashes within the first 6 months or so.
All right,
I'll
the
admit
first
it.
6 months?
Beginner's luck.
I'm sure
We'll
the
chalk it
Secret
up to that.
Service is a much
Pretty sure
better
that's
driver's
that's
ed
not
teacher
normal.
than I am.
So the
I
Secret
don't know.
Service, you said?
The Secret Service, that's right. So most of us were taught to drive by our parents or an old cranky driver's ed teacher, right? Unless, of course, you're the first daughter. I mean, I'm sure most things in your life are probably exceptionally different from the average U.S. citizens, but really, how do you learn to drive in a normal environment growing up like that? Well, for Malia Obama, the answer is the Secret Service. First Lady Michelle Obama revealed to TV host Rachel Ray that the Secret Service wouldn't let her or her husband in the car with their high school junior daughter, so they provided driving lessons instead. Mrs. Obama also said she thinks driving gives Malia a sense of normalcy, and she wants her kids to learn to live in a normal world. Malia is allowed to drive by herself, of course, under the watchful eye of the Secret Service. So watch out, DC, President's daughter on the loose. And in the wild world of music, you never know what crazed fans will do next, especially when you're dealing with fans of Maroon 5's Adam Levine, who has a voice that literally drives the female population wild. But actually, one lady fan jumped onto the stage at a Monday concert in California and tried to physically hug him. The 2013 Sexiest Man Alive did handle the situation pretty smoothly, though. He first tried to push her away, and then probably realized it would be better to accept the crazy than try to escape it. So he put his arm around her until security came to give her a good old walk off. He actually even received a slight flesh wound from the whole incident. He told the crowd that the lady cut his ear with her fingernail, adding, quote, "It's just weird to be like in the moment, you know? And then the next thing you know, someone's effing in your face. It's super terrifying. Hey, at least you have a potential scar to prove it happened, Adam." You've probably all seen posters of her up in your guy friend's dorm room, and more than likely seen her 2012 Cat Daddy video by photographer Terry Richardson that went viral. I think it's safe to say that Kate Upton is a total pop culture icon today in the US. But Vogue UK reporter Alexa Chung made the discovery in an interview with Upton that the blonde bombshell was not exactly pleased that the clip of her performing the Cat Daddy dance in a teeny bikini even hit the internet in the first place. In fact, she even used the words disrespectful and horrified. Upton said that she assumed it was being filmed for fun by the controversial celebrity photographer and never imagined it would see the light of day. All is well today, though. Kate says that, quote, "Now, obviously, it's fine. Of course it's fine, girl, you're famous." So most of us have probably heard Don McLean's hit American Pie, and most of us also have no idea what the cryptic song is actually about. It has about 1 million different storylines going on in it, including characters like a jester, a king, a queen, good old boys drinking whiskey and rye, a widowed bride, and of course Miss American Pie herself. Now that McLean is selling the original 16-page manuscript of the lyrics for $1.2 million, he's finally revealed his song's message. In an interview, he said, quote, "It was an indescribable photograph of America that I tried to capture in words and music." Most of his characters in the song are based on real people like John Lennon, Karl Marx, the Fab Four, Jackie Kennedy, the widowed bride. So in academic conclusion, he meant for the song to be about the end of the American dream, which was enough to send the song to #1 in 1972. Speaking of music, this season of music festivals is creeping up on us, and one of the most famous ones is Coachella, where hipsters and people of the arts will gather and frolic in the music. I unfortunately cannot make it to or afford the $800 double weekend price tag on those tickets, but for those of you that can, let's take a look at some of this year's acts on my must-see list. First off here is Florence and the Machine. I am in love with Florence. I want to be Florence. Florence is life. I cannot tell you how hard I would jam to her if I went to Coachella. Also, Hozier. I recently fell in love with him, so I'm kind of a new follower, but he is also super cool. He has such a chill, beautiful tone to his voice. I could just listen to it forever. Totally a shower jam for me. Last but not least, I would probably go see Drake. I'm not the hugest fan, but I think it would be cool to see him at Coachella. But also Tyler, the Creator, or Flosstradamus might throw a pretty mean party on stage as well. So it's kind of a toss-up between those three for my last pick. Tweet us your must-see artists or even some pics of you having a wild time at this year's Coachella with the handle @GM Emerson. That's about all I have for you all this morning, though. Maggie and Logan, back to you.
Thank you, Amelia. Watches are not just to look fresh, are they, Dan? We have some smart watches with us here today.
Cool. So we have actually 5 smartwatches here.
very
And so I
smart.
showed off the Apple Watch in the package that I showed you on the screen over there. And the big thing with the Apple Watch is it's going to have calls, it's going to have texts, it's going to have notifications, but it's not out yet. So what is out now?
Yeah.
So we have, these two are the Pebble. It comes in 2 different kinds right now, the regular Pebble and the Pebble Steel. And this was created by the Pebble company as a Kickstarter. They sort of just put it out there and they said, here's our watch. Do people want it? If enough people say they want it, we'll start making them. And a lot of people wanted the Pebble.
I was going to say, I've never heard of the Pebble brand.
Yeah, it's sort of a small brand, but it's a popular watch. If you go into Best Buy today, you can buy a Pebble there.
And how much is a Pebble?
It goes for around $100 for the original Pebble and $200 for the Pebble Steel, which is the sort of middle one, because currently they're coming out with the Pebble Time, which is the newest one. Huh. I don't know the reason for the name.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Really, most important part of a watch. Also, in terms of it syncs with an iPhone. Is what I believe,
so
right?
these two here work with either an iPhone or an Android. They sync with it so that you would get your notifications straight to the watch. So let's say you get a call, you get a text on the watch, you'll get a vibration, or you'll hear a noise, and you go, okay, I have a text or a call. You can't actually answer it from the watch.
Why would you be able to?
Yeah, that will be done with your phone.
I think that's especially what we're learning here today is they have to perfect the smartwatch. So a lot of sort of the iPhone or the iWatches that are coming out have to sort of gloss over the earlier ones like these.
Yeah, what I found that if it's a third-party company, that's one of the biggest things is that you can't do a lot of features that are with the phone.
Can't completely sync it.
Yeah, so if you look at the Moto 360 over here by Motorola, the cool thing with this one is it's round. So
I like that.
it has the round watch face, and it looks like an actual
Yeah, it doesn't
watch,
really
which is
have
really
that,
cool.
that smartwatch feel to it right now.
Yeah, and that one's made by Motorola for Google phones, so it's only for Android. It uses the Android Wear platform, and it doesn't allow you to respond to text or calls, but it does allow you to get notifications like these. And it does have a microphone built in, so you can talk to the Google in there and say like, "Hey Google, I want to Google this."
So you can really go, where's the closest CVS?
Yeah, and it'll do it.
Yeah.
So,
in terms of also the closest watch that it is like here today, what would you say is also with this as well? Sort of what it compares to on today's market outside of smartwatches.
so for like regular watches?
Yeah.
So I'd say of these, the most stylish is probably this one.
Yeah.
The Apple Watch is definitely going to be the one that's going to be the style watch where it's going to be expensive. There's going to be a gold edition. That's really the one. If you have nice watches, that's what you want.
So this one I know is the most sort of advanced, and this is yours, right?
Yes, so this is the Samsung Galaxy Gear S. This one allows you to make calls and text straight from the watch.
Well, there you go.
So you can just hit the button and it'll do it.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much,
No
Dan.
problem.
That's all the time we have for today.
We'll check you on next week. Also, we have our producer Dan Sheehy's watch. Look at this calculator watch. Isn't that
yeah.
really?
Nicest watch.
I think
This
that
is
was
the smartest of watches.
pretty smart once upon a time.
Yeah.
All right, take care.